2 days later, Corporal Park Ji-woo sat on the floor of the laboratory, watching the alien mother eat small pieces of food. He had learned that she liked the sweet energy bars from their rations. The two little ones ate the same food, but they took tiny bites because their mouths were so small. Ji-woo had spent many hours with them now. The mother still did not let him touch her injured arm, but she no longer made warning sounds when he came close. The little ones were braver. Yesterday, one of them had touched his gloved hand with a tiny crystal paw. "Any luck with the translation program?" asked Captain Daeho as he walked into the room. "A little bit," Ji-woo replied. He held up a tablet computer that showed simple pictures. "Dr. Han helped me set this up before she left to get more supplies. Look." He touched the screen to show a picture of water. The mother looked at it and made a specific sound. Then he showed a picture of food and she made a different sound. He had been collecting these sounds for 2 days. "She's smart," Ji-woo continued. "Really smart. When I show her pictures of pain, she points to her hurt arm and makes sad sounds. When I show pictures of the little ones, she makes happy sounds and touches them gently." The two babies were playing with an empty medical kit box. Their crystal fur flickered between blue and green as they pushed the box around with their paws. Sometimes they would stop playing to check on their mother, pressing against her side for a moment before going back to their game. "They never go far from her," Daeho observed. "Never," Ji-woo agreed. "I tried to give them food on the other side of the room yesterday. They wouldn't take it. They would rather be hungry than leave her side." Sergeant Kim Bora entered the room carrying a communication device. "Sir, we just got a message from command. Dr. Han is coming back today and she's bringing some important people with her." "What kind of important people?" Daeho asked, though his voice suggested he already suspected the answer. "The kind that want to study our new friends here," Bora said quietly. At the sound of unfamiliar voices, the mother lifted her head. Her silver eyes moved between the three humans. The little ones stopped playing and moved closer to her. Their fur changed from happy blue-green to worried yellow. "She knows something is wrong," Ji-woo said. "Look at how tense she is. It was true." The mother's whole body had become stiff. She pulled the little ones closer with her good arm. Her injured arm shook from the effort of trying to protect them. "We should warn Dr. Han about approaching them carefully," Daeho said. "They trust us now, but new people will scare them." Private Choi Minho ran into the room. "Sir, the transport is landing now. Dr. Han has 5 people with her and one of them is wearing a command uniform." Daeho felt his stomach drop. Command uniforms meant official business. Official business usually meant that someone higher up had decided what would happen to the aliens, and those decisions were rarely made with kindness in mind. "Everyone stay calm," he told his team. "Don't let them see that we're worried." But it was too late for that. The alien mother could sense their tension. She made soft, urgent sounds to her little ones. They immediately moved to huddle under her body, only their glowing eyes visible in the shadows. Dr. Han Ye-jin entered the laboratory first. She was a small woman with short black hair and intelligent eyes. Behind her came 4 other people in science uniforms and one tall man in the dark blue uniform of Fleet Command. "Captain Lee," the command officer said. "I am Commander Nam Jun-sik. I've come to see these alien specimens that Dr. Han has told us about." Specimens. Daeho did not like that word. These were not specimens. They were living beings with thoughts and feelings and fears. "Sir, they are very easily frightened," Daeho said carefully. "It took us 2 days to gain their trust." "Trust is not necessary," Commander Nam replied. "We need to study them to understand their biology and potential military applications." Dr. Han walked slowly toward the cage, carrying her own tablet and scanner. "Captain Lee's reports say that the mother is injured. Is she stable?" "Her arm is broken and she has some cuts on her side," Ji-woo answered. "But she's eating well and seems to be healing." "And the young ones appear healthy?" "Very healthy. They're active and playful when they feel safe." Dr. Han knelt down near the cage. She moved slowly and spoke in a soft voice. "Hello there. I'm here to help." The mother watched her carefully but did not make warning sounds. She had seen Dr. Han before when the doctor first arrived 2 days ago. But the little ones pressed closer to their mother. Too many new people in their space made them nervous. One of the other scientists stepped forward quickly. "Dr. Han, we should take tissue samples immediately. The longer we wait, the more the specimens might deteriorate." The word specimens again. And tissue samples meant cutting pieces off the aliens to study them. Daeho felt anger rise in his chest. The alien mother must have sensed the threat in the scientist's voice. She pulled her little ones completely under her body and made the loudest warning sound any of them had heard from her. The baby's fur turned bright red and they made frightened crying sounds. "You're scaring them," Jiwoo said firmly to the scientist. "They're just animals reacting on instinct," the scientist replied. "Once we sedate them, they'll be much easier to work with." "Sedate them?" Daeho stepped forward. "Sir, with respect, these beings have shown clear signs of intelligence. They use tools, they communicate, they show complex emotions." Commander Nam looked at the captain with cold eyes. "Captain, these are enemy specimens found in a Dominion facility. Whatever intelligence they may have, our priority is learning how to use them against our enemies." Dr. Han looked uncomfortable. "Commander, I think Captain Lee is right. We should study them in their natural state first, without sedation. We'll learn more that way." "Natural state?" Another scientist laughed. "Dr. Han, look around. This is a laboratory cage, not their natural environment. And look at how they're behaving. The young ones won't even separate from the adult. It's abnormal behavior that's interfering with proper study." Jiwoo felt something cold in his stomach. "What do you mean, separate them?" "Standard procedure," Commander Nam explained. "We study each specimen individually to get accurate data. The emotional attachment between them is contaminating our ability to observe normal behavior." "No," Jiwoo said before he could stop himself. "You can't separate them." Everyone turned to look at him. Commander Nam's eyebrows rose. "Excuse me, Corporal?" "Sir, they're a family. Look at them. The little ones depend on their mother for everything. If you separate them, they'll adapt," the commander said coldly. "All animals do." But even as he spoke, they could see that the aliens were becoming more distressed. The mother's warning sounds were getting weaker as her injured body tired. But she did not stop trying to protect her children. The little ones cried continuously now, their crystal fur flashing between red and white in patterns that clearly meant panic. Dr. Han looked at her scanner. Their stress levels are extremely high. The mother's heart rate is dangerous and her injury is bleeding again. "Then we should separate them quickly and treat her immediately," said one of the other scientists. "That will make it worse," Jiwoo protested. "Can't you see? They need each other!" Commander Nam's face became hard. "Corporal, you will remember your place. These are not pets. They are research subjects that may hold the key to winning this war." Daeho saw his medic's hands shake with anger and frustration. He knew Jiwoo wanted to say more, but speaking against a commander could end his military career. "Sir," Daeho said carefully, "perhaps we could find a compromise. Study them together first, then consider separation only if absolutely necessary." "The decision has already been made, Captain. Tomorrow morning we begin individual study protocols." In the cage, the alien mother seemed to understand that something terrible was going to happen. She looked directly at Daeho with her silver eyes. In that look was a plea that needed no translation. She was asking him to protect her children. The little ones had gone very quiet. They pressed against their mother's sides, their fur dim and gray now. They looked up at the humans with eyes that seemed too old and sad for such small creatures. Dr. Han knelt down again and placed her hand against the cage bars. "I'm sorry," she whispered, so quietly that only the aliens and the soldiers could hear her. The mother reached out with her good arm and gently touched the doctor's fingers through the bars. It was a gesture of forgiveness and thanks. She knew Dr. Han wanted to help. But as Commander Nam and the other scientists discussed their plans for tomorrow, the alien family huddled together in their cage, and Jiwoo made a decision that would change everything. He would not let them be separated, no matter what it cost him. The morning air on Kepler 442b tasted like metal and dust. Captain Lee Daeho pulled his helmet tighter as he looked across the empty battlefield. 3 months had passed since the Dominion forces left this planet. They ran away so fast that they left behind broken buildings and smoking holes in the ground. "Sir, I'm getting those strange readings again," said Sergeant Kim Bo-ra. She held her scanner close to her face. The small screen showed lines and numbers that kept changing. "Something is still active in that old building over there." Daeho looked where she pointed. The building was tall and white, but now it had black marks from explosions. Most of its windows were broken. It looked dead from the outside, but if Bo-ra's scanner was right, something was still working inside. "Could be a trap," said Private Choi Min-ho. He was the youngest in their team, but he was good at spotting danger. The Dominion likes to leave surprises behind. Corporal Park Ji-woo adjusted the medical pack on his back. Or it could be survivors who need help. We should check it out. Dae-ho thought about it. Their mission was simple. Search the empty buildings and make sure no enemies were hiding. But if people were trapped inside and needed help, they had to try. That was what humans did. They helped even when it was dangerous. We go in carefully, Dae-ho decided. Bora, keep scanning. Minho, watch our backs. Ji-woo, stay ready with your medical gear. The 4 soldiers walked toward the building. Their boots made soft sounds on the broken ground. Dead grass crunched under their feet. The air was too quiet. No birds sang here. No insects buzzed around. The war had scared away all the living things. The front door was twisted and half open. Dae-ho pushed it wider with his rifle. Inside, the hallway was dark. Emergency lights blinked red along the walls. Their helmet lights made long shadows that moved when they walked. This was a research place, Ji-woo said quietly. He pointed at symbols on the wall. Those are Dominion science marks. What kind of research? Asked Minho. The bad kind, probably, Bora answered. Her scanner beeped faster now. The signal is getting stronger. It's coming from below us. They found stairs going down. The steps were metal and made loud noises when they walked on them. Each floor they passed looked the same. Empty rooms with broken glass and burnt papers scattered everywhere. But the readings on Bora's scanner kept getting stronger. On the 4th floor underground, they found something different. The hallway here still had power. Bright white lights made them squint. Clean air moved through vents in the ceiling. This part of the building was still working. Motion sensors just turned on. Minho whispered. Red lights are blinking up there. Too late to hide now, Dae-ho said. Stay together and keep moving. They walked down the clean hallway. Doors on both sides had small windows. Most of the rooms behind the doors were empty, but some had strange machines that still hummed and beeped. Computer screens showed numbers and pictures that none of them understood. Then they heard something that made them all stop walking. A soft crying sound came from somewhere ahead. It was not human. It was higher and sadder, like a cat in pain, but there was something else mixed in. A deeper sound, like someone trying to comfort the crying one. That's coming from the big room at the end, Bora said, checking her scanner. The big room had double doors made of thick metal. One door was slightly open. Warm air flowed out carrying strange smells. Not bad smells, but different. Like flowers they had never seen before. Dae-ho looked through the gap in the door first. Inside was the biggest laboratory they had seen yet. Tables covered in equipment filled the space. But what caught his attention were the cages along the far wall. Most were empty and had their doors hanging open. But in the corner, in the largest cage, something moved. There are life forms in there, he whispered to his team, and I think some of them are hurt. They pushed the door open and walked inside carefully. The crying sounds got louder. Now they could hear that it was definitely coming from the corner cage. As they got closer, they could see what was making the noise. In the cage was a creature unlike anything they had ever seen. She was about the size of a large dog, but her body was longer and thinner. Her skin looked like it was covered in tiny crystals that caught the light and made rainbow colors. She had 4 arms and 2 legs, all very thin and graceful. But she was hurt badly. Dark blue liquid that must have been her blood covered her side. One of her arms hung at a wrong angle. Her breathing was fast and shallow, and pressed against her side were 2 tiny creatures that looked like baby versions of her. They were no bigger than house cats. Their crystal fur glowed softly with worried yellow light. They made the crying sounds while pressing closer to the injured female. Oh no, Ji-woo said softly. She's dying and those little ones know it. The female creature heard his voice and lifted her head. Her eyes were large and silver. When she saw the 4 humans, she tried to make herself look bigger. She moved to put her body between the small ones and the strangers. A low warning sound came from her throat. The 2 little creatures stopped crying for a moment. They looked at the humans with eyes that seemed too smart for babies. Then they moved to stand in front of their mother. Even though they were tiny and could not protect her from anything, they're defending her, Minho said with surprise in his voice. And she's defending them, added Bora. Dae-ho felt something tight in his chest as he watched. He had seen many things during the war, but this was different. This was a family, a mother and her children trying to protect each other even when they were trapped and hurt. Ji-woo, can you help her? He asked. The medic looked at his equipment. I can try, but I don't know anything about their biology. What helps humans might hurt them. And they won't let us get close anyway, Minho pointed out. Look how scared they are, it was true. Every time one of the humans took a step closer to the cage, the mother made her warning sound louder. The little ones pressed tighter against her. Their crystal fur turned from yellow to bright red, clearly a danger signal. Daeho made a decision that went against his military training. Instead of trying to capture the creatures or call for backup, he sat down on the floor. He put his weapon beside him and held up his empty hands. "What are you doing, sir?" asked Bo-Ra. "Showing them we're not a threat," he answered. "Jiwoo, sit down too. Move very slowly. Take out your medical supplies, but don't try to reach for them yet." Jiwoo did what his captain ordered. He sat down and carefully opened his medical pack. He took out bandages and medicine, placing them on the floor where the creatures could see them. The mother watched everything they did. Her silver eyes moved from one human to another. After a few minutes, her warning sounds became quieter. The little one still glowed red, but not as brightly. "She's thinking," Jiwoo observed. "She's trying to decide if we want to help or hurt them." "How can she decide that?" asked Minho. "We're different species." "How can she understand what we want?" Before anyone could answer, one of the little creatures did something that surprised them all. It took a tiny step away from its mother, not toward the humans but to the side, where it could see them better. Its crystal fur slowly changed from red to yellow to a soft blue color. The mother made a different sound now. Not a warning, but something gentler. She was talking to her child in their own language. The second little one took a step forward too. Its fur glowed with the same soft blue light. Both babies looked at the humans with curious eyes. "I think," said Daeho slowly, "they want to trust us, but they're scared. So what do we do?" asked Bo-Ra. Daeho looked at the injured mother and her brave little children. He thought about all the terrible things he had seen in this war, all the cruelty and death and fear, but here was something different. Here was love, a mother's love for her children and their love for her. "We help them," he said. "We help them the way we would want someone to help our families." He began to slide the medical supplies across the floor, pushing them slowly toward the cage. Not close enough to threaten, but close enough to show that they were gifts. The mother watched the bandages and medicine move toward her. For a long moment, no one moved or spoke. Then, very carefully, she reached out with her good arm and touched one of the bandages. The two little ones pressed against her side, their fur glowing with soft, trusting blue light. And for the first time in months, Captain Lee Daeho smiled a real smile. That night, Jiwoo could not sleep. He lay on his narrow military bed, staring at the ceiling and thinking about the alien family. In a few hours, the scientists would come to take the little ones away from their mother. He had seen enough war to know what fear looked like, and those small creatures were terrified. At 3 a.m, he gave up trying to sleep. He got dressed quietly and walked through the empty halls to the laboratory. The guard at the door knew him and let him pass without questions. Inside the lab, emergency lighting cast soft shadows everywhere. But in the corner cage, he could see a gentle blue glow. The alien mother was awake, holding her children close. Her crystal fur pulsed with a steady rhythm that reminded Jiwoo of a heartbeat. When she saw him, she made a soft sound. Not a warning this time, but almost like a greeting. "You can't sleep either," Jiwoo said quietly as he sat down near the cage. The little ones were awake too. Their small faces peeked out from under their mother's arms. One of them made a tiny chirping sound and crawled closer to the bars. Its crystal fur flickered with curious yellow light. Jiwoo slowly reached toward the cage. The little one stretched out its paw to touch his finger through the metal bars. Its fur was warm and felt like soft glass. "I won't let them hurt you," he whispered. "I promise." The alien mother watched this exchange with her large silver eyes. Then she did something that surprised Jiwoo. She moved closer to the bars herself and gently placed her good hand over his. At that moment, the laboratory door opened. Jiwoo turned, expecting to see a guard or maybe Captain Daeho. Instead, a tall figure in strange clothing stepped into the room. The newcomer was clearly not human. He stood almost 7 feet tall with the same crystal-covered skin as the family in the cage, but his fur was deep purple and silver. He had the same forearms and graceful movements, but he was much larger and obviously adult. When the alien mother saw him, she made sounds that were different from any Jiwoo had heard before. These were urgent, desperate sounds. The little ones began to glow brightly and made excited chirping noises. The tall alien moved quickly to the cage. He spoke to the family in their own language, his voice deep and musical. The sounds they made back to him were clearly explanations, telling him what had happened to them. Jiwoo reached for his weapon, but then stopped. The tall alien was not acting aggressive. Instead, he seemed deeply concerned about the family in the cage. His crystal fur was flashing through colors that looked like worry and anger. "You are the human who has been caring for them," the alien said, and Jiwoo jumped. The voice was accented, but the words were clear human speech. "You can talk," Jiwoo said, feeling stupid as soon as he said it. "I learned your language from your communication signals," the alien replied. "My name is Talvek. I have been searching for survivors of my people for many months." "Your people?" "The Viltari, my species. The female is called Kiralen, and the young ones are her offspring." Jiwoo looked at the family with new understanding. The Dominion captured them. "Yes, they took many of us for their experiments. Most did not survive." Talvek's fur darkened with grief. "I had hoped to find no one, so I would not have to see what was done to them. But I also hoped to find everyone so I could bring them home. How did you find us?" "Your ship sent out a distress signal 3 days ago, asking for information about our species. I have been monitoring your communications since then." Talvek knelt beside the cage. "I had to wait until your guards were fewer to approach safely." Kiralen reached through the bars to touch Talvek's hand. She made soft, urgent sounds. The little ones pressed against the bars, trying to get closer to him. "She is telling me about your kindness," Talvek translated. "She says you have treated them with respect and gentleness." "This is unusual." "Unusual how?" Talvek's fur flickered with what might have been surprise. "Most species we have met see our young's attachment to their guardians as weakness. They try to break the bonds to make us more useful. But your people, you seem to understand that the bonds make us stronger." "What kind of bonds?" "Our young imprint on those who protect them. It is deeper than what you humans call family. It is a psychic connection that allows us to share strength and emotions. When the young are separated from their bonded guardian, both suffer greatly. Many die from the trauma." Jiwoo felt cold fear run through him. "The scientists want to separate them tomorrow. They think it will be easier to study them individually." Talvek's fur flashed bright red. "That will kill them. All 3 of them. I was afraid of that." Jiwoo stood up. "We have to get them out of here." "We?" "I won't let them die because some commander thinks they're just specimens." Talvek studied the human for a long moment. "You would risk your career, your freedom to save people who are not your species?" "They're not just people," Jiwoo said, looking at the little ones who were watching him with trusting eyes. "They're family." "Her family. And she asked me to protect them." "She asked you?" How Jiwoo thought about how to explain it. Not with words. But when she looked at me yesterday, I knew what she was asking. The same thing any mother would ask. "Please don't let anyone hurt my children." Talvek's crystal fur began to glow with soft golden light. "You understood this without knowing our language or our customs?" "Any human would understand it?" "No," Talvek said quietly. "Not any species would understand it. This is why my people will want to form alliance with yours." Before Jiwoo could ask what he meant, they heard footsteps in the hallway outside. Multiple people were coming, and it was still an hour before the scientists were supposed to arrive. "Hide," Jiwoo whispered to Talvek, but the tall alien shook his head. "It is time for truth," he said. The laboratory door opened, and Captain Daeho entered with Sergeant Bo-Ra and Private Minho. They all stopped in surprise when they saw the tall alien standing next to Jiwoo. "Sir, I can explain," Jiwoo started to say, but Daeho held up his hand. "Actually, Corporal, I think our new friend can explain better." The captain looked at Talvek. "You're here for them, aren't you?" "Yes, they are my people, my family. And you heard about our situation?" Talvek nodded. "Your corporal was just telling me about the planned separation. He was willing to risk everything to prevent it." Daeho looked at Jiwoo with something that might have been pride. He's a good soldier, sometimes too good for his own safety. "Captain," Bo-Ra said urgently, "Commander Nam is coming. I saw his transport landing. He's bringing more people with him. How long do we have?" "Maybe 10 minutes." Daeho made a decision that went against everything in his military training. "Talvek, can you get them to safety?" "Not all of them. Kiralen is too injured to travel far, and the young cannot be separated from her without risking their lives." "Then we make a stand here," Daeho said. "Jiwoo, get the cage open." "Bo-Ra, Contact Lieutenant Colonel Yoon and tell her we have a first contact situation that requires her immediate attention. Minho, start recording everything on your helmet camera. Sir, this could end our careers, Minho said. Better than ending their lives, Daeho replied. As Jiwoo worked on the electronic lock of the cage, Talvek knelt down and spoke gently to Kirilen and her young ones. Whatever he said made their crystal fur glow brighter with hope. What are you telling them? Jiwoo asked. That the humans who saved them are willing to fight to keep them safe. That this strange thing called human compassion may be the beginning of something wonderful. The cage door clicked open. Kirilen slowly crawled out, careful not to jar her injured arm. The little ones stayed pressed against her sides. But their fur showed excited blue and green colors now. For the first time in days, they were not trapped in a cage. But as they heard more footsteps approaching in the hallway, everyone knew that the real test was just beginning. Commander Nam Junsik entered the laboratory with 6 armed soldiers and 3 scientists. He stopped when he saw Talvek standing beside the open cage with Kirilen and her little ones free on the floor. What is the meaning of this? Nam's voice was dangerously quiet. Sir, this is Talvek, Captain Daeho said, stepping forward. He's a representative of the Velthari species. He came to check on the welfare of his people. Nam's eyes moved from the tall alien to the family on the floor, then to his own soldiers. Captain Lee, you have released enemy specimens without authorization. With respect, sir, they are not specimens. They are sentient beings, and this is a diplomatic contact situation. Diplomatic? Nam laughed coldly. Captain, you are not qualified to make diplomatic decisions. Talvek spoke up, his voice calm but firm. Commander Nam, I come representing the Velthari Council. We have been monitoring this situation with great interest. You've been spying on us? We have been watching to see how you would treat our captured people. Your actions here will determine whether my species considers humanity as potential allies or enemies. Nam's face reddened. Are you threatening us? I am informing you. The Velthari have technologies that could be very useful in your war against the Dominion, but we only ally with species that show honor and compassion. Dr. Han stepped forward from behind the commander. Sir, if I may, this could be a remarkable opportunity for mutual cooperation. Dr. Han, your job is to study these specimens, not negotiate with them. Kirilen, who had been listening to the humans argue, made a soft sound to get everyone's attention. When they looked at her, she carefully stood up on her hind legs, balancing despite her injured arm. She began to make gestures with her good hand, pointing at different people in the room. She is trying to communicate, Dr. Han said, pulling out her tablet. She's learned some of our visual symbols. Kirilen pointed to Talvek and made a sound, then pointed to herself and her little ones and made the same sound. Then she pointed to the human soldiers and made a different sound, one that sounded warmer and friendlier. Family, Jiwoo said suddenly. The first sound means family. She's saying Talvek is family and she and the little ones are family. And the second sound? Asked Dr. Han. Jiwoo looked at Captain Daeho and his team. I think it means friend or protector. Talvek nodded. She is telling you that your soldiers have treated her and her offspring as friends and protectors would. This is very significant to our people. Commander Nam waved his hand dismissively. Interesting, but irrelevant. These aliens remain under military custody for research purposes. Sir, Sergeant Bora said urgently, I'm receiving a priority message from Fleet Command. Nam turned to her. What does it say? Bora looked at her communication device, her face pale. Dominion forces have been detected heading for this system. 3 battleships and multiple support vessels. They'll be here in less than 12 hours. The room went silent except for the soft sounds the little ones made as they pressed closer to their mother. They're coming back for us, Talvek said grimly. The Dominion considers the Velthari their property. They will not leave without taking back what they see as theirs. Then we evacuate immediately, Nam decided. Load the specimens onto the transport. No, Talvek said firmly. If you move Kirilen now, her injuries will worsen, and if you separate the young from her, the shock could kill them all. Then they'll have to risk it. Dr. Lim Soo-jin, one of the scientists, spoke up for the first time. Commander, I've been analyzing the blood samples we took earlier. There's something you need to know. What? The genetic structure of the young ones is unusual. They've been artificially modified in ways I've never seen before. The modifications create a unique psychic resonance pattern. In simple terms, Doctor, The little ones' brains have been changed to amplify certain types of energy waves. When they're in distress, those waves get very strong. When they're calm and bonded with their mother, the waves create a kind of shield. Talvek's fur flashed with sudden understanding. That's why the Dominion took them. They were trying to create psychic weapons. But the process only works when the young remain bonded to their guardian. Dr. Lim continued. Separate them and the modifications become useless. Worse, they become harmful to the young themselves. Commander Nam looked frustrated. So we can't move them and we can't separate them, but the Dominion is coming to take them back anyway. There may be another option, Talvek said slowly. If the young ones' psychic abilities are truly enhanced, they might be able to help defend against Dominion forces. Their ships use neural control systems that could be disrupted by the right kind of psychic interference. You mean use them as weapons? Jiwoo stepped forward angrily. They're children! Not as weapons, Talvek said quickly. As shields. Their natural bonding energy, amplified by the modifications, could create a barrier that protects everyone here. Dr. Han looked at her scanner. The readings support that theory. When they feel safe and loved, their energy output is incredible. But when they're scared, the energy becomes chaotic and harmful. Dr. Lim finished. Commander Nam began to pace. So our best defense against the Dominion requires keeping these aliens calm and happy. Yes, Talvek said. And that means keeping them with the people they trust. The people who have shown them kindness. Nam stopped pacing and stared at Captain Daeho and his soldiers. You mean my people have to babysit alien children during a battle? Your people have already been doing that, Dr. Han pointed out. And the aliens trust them. As if to prove her point, one of the little ones, the braver of the two, walked over to Jiwoo and touched his boot with a tiny paw. It looked up at him with trusting eyes and made a soft questioning sound. Jiwoo knelt down and gently touched the little creature's head. Its crystal fur glowed with warm blue light, and everyone in the room could feel a sense of peace and safety wash over them. Remarkable, Dr. Lim breathed. The psychic field is affecting all of us. I feel calmer just being near them. The second little one joined its sibling, leaning against Jiwoo's knee. Kira Len watched with her silver eyes and made a sound that could only be approval. They see him as family now, Talvek explained. All of your soldiers, actually. In our culture, anyone who protects our young becomes part of our family structure. Commander Nam looked around the room at the soldiers, the scientists, and the alien family. His military training told him to follow standard procedures. Secure the assets, evacuate to safety, let someone else make the big decisions. But as he watched the little ones trust human soldiers with their lives, and saw the way their mother looked at those soldiers with gratitude, he began to understand something important. Sometimes the right military decision and the right human decision were the same thing. Captain Lee, he said finally, prepare your team for defensive positions. Dr. Han, work with Talvek to understand how these psychic fields operate. Everyone else get ready for a fight. Sir? Daeho asked. We're staying? We're staying. If these little ones can help us beat the Dominion, then we make sure they feel safe enough to do it. Nam looked at the alien family, who were now surrounded by protective human soldiers. And if that means treating them like family instead of specimens, then that's what we do. Outside, alarms began to sound. The Dominion fleet had arrived early, but inside the laboratory 2 small alien children glowed with brave blue light, ready to defend the humans who had defended them. The battle started before dawn. From the laboratory deep underground, they could hear the sound of explosions as Dominion ships attacked the base above. The lights flickered every time something big hit the building. Kira Len and her little ones huddled close to Jiwoo and Minho, who had moved their defensive position to surround the alien family. The little one's crystal fur glowed steadily with blue light, creating a bubble of calm energy around everyone in the room. How long can they maintain this? Captain Daeho asked Talvek. As long as they feel safe and loved, Talvek replied. He was monitoring the defense systems while staying close enough to speak with his people. But if they become frightened or if something happens to their bonded guardians, another explosion shook the building closer this time. Dust fell from the ceiling. The little ones pressed tighter against the human soldiers and their glow became brighter. They're trying to protect us, Jiwoo realized. They can feel our fear, so they're pushing out more calming energy. Dr. Han looked at her instruments. The psychic field is getting stronger. If this keeps up, it should be able to disrupt Dominion neural controls from several kilometers away. Commander Nam spoke into his communication device. Base defense, what's the situation up there? 3 Dominion battleships in orbit, sir. They're not trying to destroy the base. They're trying to capture it. Landing parties are heading for the main entrance. They want the Velthari alive, Talvik said. The experiments are too valuable to lose. Well, they can't have them, Minho said firmly. One of the little ones had fallen asleep against his leg, trusting him completely to keep it safe. Sergeant Bora received another message. Sir, the Dominion forces have broken through the main defenses. They're in the building. Everyone could hear it now, the sound of fighting getting closer. Weapon fire and shouting voices echoed through the halls above them. Kira Len made worried sounds and tried to stand up, but her injured arm wouldn't support her weight. The little ones woke up and began to glow with anxious yellow light. Stay calm, Jiwoo said gently, helping Kira Len sit more comfortably. We won't let anyone hurt you. But even as he spoke, they heard something that made everyone's blood run cold. Heavy footsteps were coming down the stairs to their level. Not human footsteps, these made metallic scraping sounds against the floor. Dominion battle robots, Commander Nam said grimly. They're coming for the specimens. Talvik's crystal fur flashed with angry red colors. They call us specimens even when they speak to each other. To them, we are nothing but tools. The footsteps stopped outside the laboratory door. Then came a mechanical voice speaking in the harsh language of the Dominion. Surrender the Velthari subjects immediately. Resistance will result in termination. They want you to give up, Jiwoo whispered to Kira Len. We're not going to do that. The little ones seemed to understand that danger was very close. Their crystal fur began to pulse with brighter and brighter light. The peaceful feeling in the room became stronger, but underneath it was something else, a fierce protective energy that made all the humans feel braver. They're not just calming us anymore, Dr. Han said, watching her instruments. They're sharing their courage with us. The laboratory door exploded inward. 3 tall robot soldiers entered, their weapons scanning the room. When they saw the alien family surrounded by human soldiers, they paused. Surrender the subjects, the lead robot repeated in broken human speech. No, Captain Daeho said simply. The robots raised their weapons. But something strange happened. Their targeting systems began to flicker and spark. The little one's psychic energy was interfering with their electronics. Warning, system malfunction, one robot announced as its weapon powered down. The other robots tried to advance, but their movements became jerky and uncontrolled. The psychic field was disrupting all their systems. Impossible, the lead robot said, its voice distorting. Velthari young cannot generate defensive fields. These aren't normal Velthari young, Talvik said proudly. These are children who have been loved by humans. That makes them stronger than your scientists ever imagined. The little ones stood up beside their mother, their tiny bodies glowing like small stars. They were no longer hiding behind the human soldiers. Instead, they stepped forward, as if they wanted to protect the people who had protected them. The psychic energy in the room became so strong that all the remaining electronic devices began to malfunction. The robots collapsed as their systems completely shut down. But more footsteps were coming down the stairs, many more. That's the full boarding party, Commander Nam said. Robots and Dominion soldiers? How many? Asked Daeho. Too many. Talvik moved to stand beside the human soldiers. Then we make our stand here together. As the enemy forces gathered outside, preparing for a final assault, something unexpected happened. The little ones began to sing. It wasn't a human sound, or even a sound that human ears were designed to hear properly. It was something felt more than heard, a vibration that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere. What are they doing? Jiwoo asked. Calling for help, Talvik said, his fur glowing with hope. That song can be heard by any Velthari within light years of here. Dr. Han's communication device suddenly came alive with signals. I'm reading multiple ships dropping out of hyperspace. Big ones. Commander Nam checked his own instruments. Velthari fleet. 12 ships, including 3 battle cruisers. The little ones kept singing their psychic song while pressing close to their human guardians. Kira Len added her voice to theirs, and even injured and weak, her song was beautiful and strong. Above them, the sounds of battle changed. The Dominion forces were no longer advancing. Instead, they seemed to be retreating. Base defense to laboratory level, came a voice over the communication system. The cavalry has arrived. Dominion forces are pulling back. A few minutes later, they heard different footsteps on the stairs. Lighter steps, and many of them. Talvek's crystal fur began to glow with joy. "My people," he said. The laboratory door opened and 6 Velthari adults entered. Like Talvek, they were tall and graceful, with crystal fur in different colors. When they saw Kira Len and her little ones, they made sounds of happiness and relief. The little ones ran to meet the newcomers, chirping excitedly. But after greeting the other Velthari, they ran back to Jiwoo and Minho, pressing against the human soldiers' legs. One of the new Velthari, an elderly female with silver and white fur, approached Captain Daeho. When she spoke, her voice was warm and musical. "I am Elder Zafara of the Velthari Council," Talvek translated for her. "She wishes to thank you for protecting our children." "Tell her it was an honor," Daeho replied. The elder spoke again, looking around at all the human soldiers. "She says that her people have observed many species throughout the galaxy." Talvek continued. "Most species see the bond between Velthari young and their guardians as a weakness to be exploited or broken. But humans understood instinctively that the bond is a source of strength." Elder Zafara walked over to where Kira Len sat with her little ones. She knelt down and spoke gently to the mother, who responded with grateful sounds. "The elder is asking Kira Len if she wishes to return to our homeworld to recover from her injuries," Talvek explained. Kira Len looked at the human soldiers who had risked their lives to protect her and her children. She made a long response that included gestures toward Jiwoo and the others. Talvek listened carefully, then turned back to the humans with surprise on his face. "She says she wishes to stay here, with the people who have become her family. She asks if the human military would allow her and her offspring to serve alongside your soldiers." Commander Nam looked shocked. "She wants to join the human military?" "More than that," Talvek said. "She wants her children to grow up learning from humans. She says that any species capable of such compassion toward strangers would raise her offspring to be strong and wise." The little ones, as if they understood what was being discussed, moved to stand between their mother and the human soldiers. Their crystal fur glowed with the same blue light as before, the color of trust and family bonds. "But why?" Commander Nam asked. "Why would they want to stay with us instead of returning to their own people?" Elder Zafara spoke directly to Nam in careful human words. "Because," she said slowly, "these humans understood something that took my species millennia to learn. Love is not weakness. It is the strongest force in the universe. When someone fights not for victory, but to protect love itself, they become unstoppable." She gestured to the little ones, who were still glowing with protective light. "My people's young ones have never shown such power before. The love and protection your soldiers gave them has made them stronger than we thought possible." Jiwoo knelt down beside the little ones. "So you want to stay with us?" he asked them gently. Both little creatures looked up at him with their large, intelligent eyes. Their crystal fur pulsed with warm, happy colors. One of them reached up and touched his face with a tiny paw. Kira Len made a sound that needed no translation. It was the same sound any mother makes when she sees her children happy and safe. "I think that's a yes," Captain Daeho said with a smile. Elder Zafara spoke once more to Talvek, who nodded and turned to the humans.